When was the last time you recorded a podcast?
Like 3-4 weeks ago.
No.
Longer?
Really?
It's been a minute. Yeah.
It's been a busy month.
Such a busy month. It's our highest revenue month ever. So we've been working hard. We've onboarded 3 new clients this month.
This week.
Christmas and holiday shopping is like the mental load of all that. You know what I mean? It's just like the mental load is high.
Well, we're back.
We're
That's
back.
all that matters, right? We're back. And if for no one else other than ourselves, it feels good to be back in the saddle.
We did get an email from someone being like, where's
my podcast?
the podcast? And we were like, it's coming. It's coming when it comes. It's coming around the mountain when it comes.
I will say this. There's something that is genuinely gratifying. Like, I'm very grateful and appreciative that anybody consumes anything we create. I'm very grateful when people read the content and they go, when's the podcast coming out on this concept? When is the mini book coming out? That is, I mean, even if it was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 people, I was like, oh, damn.
It's
It
awesome.
feels really good. And I'm grateful for that.
You posted something on LinkedIn last week where a lot of people were like, oh shit, like this framing is crazy. And I posted something on LinkedIn last week, kind of similar, where someone literally said, I was looking for the newsletter link in the comment section and it's not here. And I was like, oh, I haven't written it yet. And that is my sign to write it. So
Isn't that funny how that works?
It's funny
you
how
make
that
noise, listen for signal, as they say.
yep.
Well, we wrote about a thing, and that brings us to what we're going to talk about today. Who's asking who here?
You're doing the plug and then I'm waiting for you to plug.
Oh, I got a plug. Right. Okay. This is good. This is the magic of our show sponsor, Share Your Genius. Thank you, Share Your Genius, for your love and support and sponsorship of this show and for putting up with us and making us sound better than we are. If you, dear listener, have a show that you edit yourself and you wonder, who could I trust to edit this show for me? Look no further than our favorite genius team over at Share Your Genius. Or if you want to create a show and you don't know who to trust to edit it and bring your vision to life, again, look no further than our favorite genius team over at Share Your Genius. You hit up Rachel and you let her know Nick and Erica sent you.
Do it.
Okay.
All right. What are we talking about today, Nick?
We're talking about how to elevate the problem. This is something that we have been sitting on for literal months.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We started writing this mini book in September.
We started writing the mini book in September. I created the framework, I don't know, maybe almost a year ago. And I was like, there's nothing here. And it's funny how that works, right? It's like one of the most popular frameworks, even just by signal alone. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna bust this in the open. So let's start with some story time, kind of figure out how we got here, because I think the context is important. In 2023, once upon a time in 2023,
Should I lie down? Is it bedtime? This is nice.
It's gonna be a bit. So you buckle up. When I first went out on my own, I was really hot, and I still am hot on this idea, but market the problem. And you tell yourself, well, how do you make a problem urgent, compelling, valuable? Like, you make it visceral and you try really hard to make it painful. And conventional marketing wisdom is like, when you twist the knife, things get worse, not better, right? And what ends up happening is that I started to frame the problem I was solving. I called it the interchangeable agency problem. And it was really simple. There's all these marketing agencies out there that are totally interchangeable with all the other agencies. People look at them, they don't know what they do, they don't know how they do it, they don't know why them, they don't know what problem they solve. And that was like the big one. And I started to frame this up in a really simple way. But it made a massive, it created a problem for me. I was like, nobody knows what problem you solve, so you have no leads. Or you struggle to get leads. Referrals come in, you struggle to close them because you can't explain what problem you solve or how you solve it or why any of that stuff matters. And if nothing changes soon, you'll have some pretty hard decisions to make. Mm-hmm. And I got a boatload of inbound from this type of content, from writing this stuff about like the problems that agencies were facing as being positioned in what I called interchangeable and trying to shift them all into like niche agencies. And everything was great except for when you frame a problem through like an objective failure, so like there's no leads, there's no pipeline, you're running out of money and you're gonna have to lay people off, you tend to attract a lot of people that don't have a lot of money, that don't have the discretionary income necessary to pay the premium rates that we all know we deserve. And so that posed a problem, and I was like, this is strange. How am I going to dig myself out of this hole? And it took a bit of re-swizzling, and I didn't see the framework at the time, but over time, things got more positive, or you start to look at this through different types of success. So instead of telling somebody you have no leads and your pipeline is dry, well, why don't we market to people that do have leads and they have some pipeline, so that they show up with things that are not so doom and gloom. They're not looking for a parachute. They're looking to go from maybe good to great. And like, so you start making these course corrections over time, and then things started to snap into place, and I went on my merry way. Didn't think too hard about it. And then I noticed with a few clients, this is before we built Duo, but I noticed independently a few clients were experiencing some of the same problems: low buyer maturity, clients with low ability to invest, things like that. And I was like, I have seen this movie before. And so from that was elevate the problem as a lesson was born. And I started to teach this idea. And then that was it. And I was like, yeah, but like, I don't know. There's not much here. There's not a lot of legs here. And then I posted this thing the other day, and it was one of my most popular ideas. And so I think that brings us to today. What does it mean to truly elevate the problem? Let us go into some details. Let's provide some examples and how it all works out. And I think we did a little retro on your content, Erica, because we were like, well, let's see, right? Where does intuition take you left unchecked? And it's like, you've just been creating content for a while, and you actually tend to do a bit of both. Was the first thing that we noticed.
Very quick story time for me. This is going to be very short so we can get into some good stuff here. But I also used to market mostly to people that were struggling. And what I did in my content, besides just the hooks, was I did a lot of teaching. And this is a newsletter that I just sent out today. So it's very top of mind, but I did a lot of educational content, a lot of here's how to do things yourself content. So the hook would be a failure indicator, like, hey, if you're struggling with this or you can't get over this, it's probably for these 10 reasons, like here's why and what to do about it, something like that. And I was attracting a lot of DIYers, a lot of people that wanted to pick my brain, wanted to ask me like 10,000 follow-ups, but, were really, really struggling to do any of this successfully themselves. So some of them didn't even have money to invest in like a very low ticket course. It's very DIY. And I didn't realize the connection between, I thought I'm just helping people, this is great, and I'm going to prove my worth and show my credibility by showing people that I know how to do things. And really, it wasn't until we started marketing the problem, process, and proof, following our MP3 framework, but also now more intentionally trying to speak to that upmarket buyer in that, like, you're doing really well, but type of framing, as opposed to like, you are struggling and like type of framing. It's you attract the people that see you more as a partner as opposed to a teacher. And those are completely different roles. And so, yeah, that's just some important context there.
And real quick, I think it's important. This is not saying like everything must, and we'll outline like the differences in a second here between like what we consider a failure indicator versus a success indicator. So we'll outline these in a ton of detail, but I want to be clear is that not 100% of your messaging should be one or the other. The purpose here is to make you aware of these factors in the role that they play in the types of people that come to you, and the types of inbounds that you're going to get, the types of audience that you're building. So this is a layer deeper on the concept, on market the problem. Right? So we think market the problem. Okay, I know exactly what I'm going to be talking about, what type of problem I'm going to solve. And then it's, great, now how am I going to frame this problem up? And this is another layer, another angle on problem framing. So it's not enough to just understand the status quo and the reasons the problem exists and the ramifications of the problem going unsolved, but it's also to understand, are we framing it in a way that captures buyer failure or buyer success? Because that again determines the level of maturity and the means of investment that someone who comes to you has. And this is not just if you're selling, I mean, this is primarily if you're selling services. If you're trying to market technology shit to people, I don't know. I'm not, I have no idea. This is for marketing services.
If you're trying to do technology shit to people, you definitely
should listen to a different podcast.
You should listen to, first of all, you should listen to a different podcast, but you definitely also need to do some teaching, because there's a lot of product marketing stuff where people have to understand how to do a thing and then decide your product is the right way to use it. It's a completely different situation.
Yeah. So this is about marketing your own services and trying to magnetize and pull in clients, other builders, other partners, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into some hooks. Now, I do believe that the hook makes a massive difference in someone wanting to read or or just opting in or opting out of the content. Like, oh, is this for me or is this not? Right. So the hook matters greatly. But the overall positioning of the offer, right? Because this stuff shows up in the content, right? So the newsletters, the positioning of the show, maybe in the LinkedIn content, and then in the framing of the offer in the totality, like on your sales page. So there's multiple use cases for this concept that is beyond just writing a hook. Now we're using hooks as a way of demonstrating this, and it's like a really simple way of demonstrating this. So let's talk about some other examples. Let's be a little bit more specific here. This is a simple one, right? So this is a failure indicator. Your sales team keeps missing quota. So if you're a sales trainer, most of the time what you're going to do is try to create content about how bad their sales team is. Their sales team doesn't hit quota and everything's bad. No one's making any money around here and yada, yada, yada. And then you're going to get a bunch of people that go, our sales team doesn't hit any quota. We're not making enough money. Everything's really bad. And that's generally not a great place to play because, again, desperate, you end up with like probably some more buyers that are a little bit more desperate. You probably end up with buyers who are looking for a parachute, less long-term solutions, more quick fixes, stuff like that. Right now, let's flip that. Your sales team's hitting quota, but you're leaving money on the table because your top performers can't scale their approach to the rest of the team. Now, all of a sudden, you're still a sales trainer. You're selling sales training, but the concept is niche down a little bit harder on a more specific problem, right? So the company, the team's hitting quota or whatever level of attainment, but we want to scale the top performers to the rest of the team versus everything's bad and no one's hitting their number at all. Your marketing isn't generating any ROI. This is a common one. Oh, your marketing sucks. Your marketing's terrible. It does nothing. It's not generating any leads or whatever. The success indicator version of that is your marketing generates some ROI or some consistent ROI, but you're capped at your current level and can't scale past and can't grow past it.
Let's just pause here and think about this as well. Like if your marketing is generating zero ROI, you are a down market, early stage type of company or person who has not figured anything out yet. That is what it is implying, whether or not that's true. Most, like if you're trying to reach the person who's just starting and has no idea what they're doing, then fine. Like that's a different conversation. But if you're trying to reach someone who's a bit more upmarket and or is looking for more of an elevated problem that they're ready to pull their wallets out for, then it has to be something more along the lines of the second thing you said, where you are generating some ROI, you are doing these things, but now you are hitting some sort of a ceiling at this very specific place. Like it's a completely different situation when you elevate it and frame it and you bring specificity into it, because then you're looking for someone who wants that expertise as opposed to someone who's like, just anyone fucking help me get through this crazy marketing thing. I don't even know what I'm doing. What is marketing anyway, you know?
Yeah. We see this a lot with content strategists. They'll market like, you don't have a content strategy. You think you have a content strategy, but you don't have a content strategy. So they get a lot of people going from like 0 to 1, people who may have not invested in content yet. And so they may not be super excited about spending a ton of cash on something that they haven't figured out yet, things like that. Compared to a success indicator would be, you have a content strategy, but you've taken it as far as you can, or you're not sure what's next, or you're not sure how to deploy X, Y, or Z channel, medium, format, whatever, right? Like, but it's like, this is an easy way of moving market maturity. Here's a really simple one. We see this a lot with demand gen firms, right? A lot of times they're going to say, your ads aren't converting. Just like everything sucks. You're blowing a ton of cash on ads that do nothing. Here's an easy one, or a more positive or successful indicator there. You're working with an agency, but you're not seeing results. You're the head of marketing with a small team and big goals. All of a sudden, it's like, we take it from like, you're the shittiest person in the world who can't figure anything out to someone who's just a little further along, right? So the reason we use the language too, you're working with an agency because this is how we know you have money to spend, but you're not seeing the results. Okay, now there's the problem.
The psychology of the buyer as well plays such a big part in how you're speaking to them. The people who are going to book a call with you when you say that you're burning money on everything are going to come to the call and be like, okay, tell me what you would do instead. And then they're going to question every single thing that you just said because they don't trust you or believe you, since they're in such a scarcity mindset and they're so burned by what's been going on that you're going to have to prove your value to them enough to get them to work with you. And then you're going to have to continue proving your value to them over and over again once the engagement starts. It's the typical thing, that the meme that we see all over, where it's like somebody pays you, $100 is going to expect the world from you and bother you all the time and question everything and send things back and ask for 50 rounds of feedback when you only scoped for 2 or whatever the fuck. And the person who pays you $100,000 is going to be like, great, thanks.
Yeah. It's so true, because think about the percentage of their world, right? That's the person who is like scrutinizing $100 or $1,000 purchase. It's a large percentage of their world. It just changes that. So here's another easy one. When you're running ads for demand gen, because we work with a lot of demand gen folks, or people in growth, or whatever we want to call ourselves today. It is, you're running ads and you're getting nothing out of it. Or you've never run ads before. That's like a big one. You've never run ads before. And I get if your business is like, you want to start running ads. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, earlier, less mature buyer. An easy way to do this is that you've been running or managing ads for a while, but you're frustrated because you can't prove pipeline generated, or you can't trace pipeline back to keywords. Again, like, a lot of this has to do with just people's ability to spend.
Yeah.
And if we want clients that have more money, that can pay the rates that we want, we have to lean more towards the things that make them successful and not the things that make them fail, or not the reasons why their things aren't working out.
Also, just as like a baseline, generally the way to make more money is to work with people that are making money. Like, that's just I feel like sometimes we forget that,
It's like, yeah, you can't squeeze water out of a rock. Like, if the businesses you want to work with don't have money, then it's going to be really hard for them to pay the rate that you want.
Yeah.
Then you end up taking work you don't like for rates that you don't want. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. So this is an exercise in moving up market or moving into a more mature buyer. And a lot of it is showing people you understand their problems, but the problems are created because of their success.
Right.
So it's like, instead of their problems are a result of things going wrong, the problems, like, the success creates the problem. I think it's kind of the main takeaway here.
Like, yay, I finally had kids. That's going to give me a whole fucking set of problems. But I was successful. I had the kids I wanted. Yay. You know what I mean? Just to bring this back home.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about how that gives us more money. I guess because all of a sudden once you have kids, you end up spending all your money.
Yeah, congratulations. You've had a child. You will now need this brand new product that you absolutely need.
Did you ever see that like $1,000 baby sock?
No.
Yeah, it's like
There's
a
a
sock that like
$1,000. What does it do?
it's a
Like
single
massage their
sock
feet
too.
and compress
It's a
shit
single sock. It's like it has like a pulse ox on or something. And so like if the baby stops breathing, like you'll get like a phone notification on your phone.
Yeah. No.
It's
I've
a
heard of
wild
it.
contraption.
I did not see it.
I felt like babies have slept for thousands of years.
100%.
I didn't get one, but I understand why some paranoid people might.
I was gonna say we got the Nanit camera, the super ding dong new Nanit camera thing, because I don't know why it was like the latest one, and it came with a band that you strap around them, and it monitored their heart rate. And we were like, we're not
That's what
gonna
I'm
use
talking about. Does it go on their foot?
No, it goes around their like heart, so it like watches their stomach breathe in and out through the camera. So it's not as advanced as the sock. But anyway, it did beep at us a few times and scared the shit out of us, and it was just like having a faulty moment. So that was terrifying. Anyway.
Yeah, I'd be like, no, thank you.
Yeah, we stopped using it after that. I was like, this is giving us more harm than good. This is absolutely not helpful.
I saw an interesting post the other day that I think is worth quoting. It says, there are people who are $180,000 in debt, and yet they spend $1,000 a day at Disney. Has me convinced that your offer isn't too expensive. It's just not valuable enough. And that is, I think that really sums up. This was from Cody Lutz. He posted this a couple days ago. This got me thinking, like, in this exact $1,000 baby sock thing, I would imagine that there's a lot of people that wouldn't spend $1,000 maybe on coaching, but they would spend $1,000 on a baby sock, $1,000 a day at Disney World. And they would come up with a lot of reasons and things as to why certain things they do or don't do certain things. All right. So tapping into discretionary income, especially when you're selling a B2B sale, like you're selling into another business. Not that, no, you're not competing with baby socks and Disney when you're selling into a business, but the idea of saying like, well, the money, there's only so much discretionary income we have. Right. And so understanding their problems, their unique problem set. So here's an interesting thing. As our business has grown and as we have continued to move up market, we have asked ourselves the question of like, what's the $100,000 a month solopreneur problem? I think this is a question we probably ask ourselves this every single week. How is that different? Like in very tangible terms, write it out. How is the $100,000 a month solopreneur? What is the problems that they're facing? How is that different from the $25,000 a month solopreneur? In a lot of ways, we have found that many of them are the same. Some people can just kind of kick the can down the road. We wrote all about that in the revenue wall. But I think the point of it remains, which is like this lens, we got to take this lens on our work no matter who we are. If you're not, this is if you're not selling to the type of buyer you want, or you're not getting the inbounds from a buyer with the level of means and maturity that you're looking for. It's mission critical.
Yep. I mean, voice of customer and all this stuff is like, it's all extremely important in elevating the problem. You need to actually understand their problems so that you can elevate the problem. I feel like a lot of people as well just don't spend enough time thinking about the problem, or they think they know the problem, but they don't actually talk to people. Like another table stakes thing, like table stakes number one from this podcast. You can only make more money if you actually sell to people who have money. Table stakes number two, know what the hell the problems actually are that your ideal person struggles with. And if you don't know, go ask them. Those are very important prerequisites to going up market and scaling your business.
Yeah. Now, this isn't to say that there's anything wrong. I think this is a massively important note. There's nothing wrong with selling to people or businesses that are earlier, that are quote unquote less mature. And when we say mature, it's not like an actual personality or personal maturity. It's quite literally like people who have been doing things a long time, have made prior investments, like that's a more mature buyer. Right? It's not just straight revenue, right? Their mindset has a lot to do with what makes them more mature, right? We frame it up as people looking for a parachute versus people looking for a partner. People who need things to happen immediately and now, very urgent, scarcity, versus people who know that these things take time and they're willing to put in the work and so on and so on. I always love those things on websites that are like, this offers for you if you're willing to do the work, and it's not for you if you're looking for a magic bean. And it's like, like no one would ever be like, I'm looking for magic beans, so I guess this isn't for me. Like this is a ridiculous thing. Anyway, but I think the concept is still the same, right? So people looking for parachutes. Now, there's nothing wrong with selling to less mature buyers at all, but you're playing a different game. Like it is very hard to build and scale a professional services business as a business of one or two or a micro agency, as we explain it. It's very hard to build a business like that because the economics of it are very different.
Yep. You just need so many more clients a year to hit.
You need
whatever
the
your goals
rotation
are.
might be higher, and that you rotate through clients a lot faster because your dollar amount is lower, LTV is then lower. You need to emphasize a lot more on marketing, and if that's not your superpower, then that creates a whole bunch of other issues. And then the race to the bottom begins, which is like, well, instead of selling $1,000 coaching or $1,500 a month coaching, maybe I'll sell a $100 course or a $500 group coaching thing. I mean, hey, look, again, nothing's wrong with this. We have done all of these different things, and you just have to decide what type of business you're trying to build and how you want to grow that thing. So there's no shade. There's nothing there. Like, you can certainly intentionally market. Like, we had someone comment on your post today, and all the things that you were like, here are all the different types of like failure indicators as an example. And this person was like, this is my ideal client. But I need to be clear. They were selling a career coaching program that was time boxed into 8 weeks. And I think it was like $3,000. And this is just me looking through that person's website and their LinkedIn profile. Again, that's great. If that allows the business to operate and function the way that they want, and it lets them meet their goals, hey, I'm cool. I don't judge. I don't care. But it's just important to understand that that person's playing a very different business. Mm-hmm. How many people do you need to run through your program at $3,000 a pop to make the living you want to make? And is it easier or harder to do it that way, to run it, or to do something else?
Yep. And how do you market it and all the bullshit? It's a lot. It's not for us. We've done it. We find it personally exhausting. Some people love it. I do want to add one note that I fell into this trap a little bit when I was doing more down market failure indicator stuff. And I've seen a lot of people fall into it very intentionally. When you are telling someone, you're stuck, you're never going to make it. You're asking yourself, am I ever going to make it? Like all that stuff. It's very easy to then lean into the whole, well, you have a choice. Well, it ends up being it's like you have a choice. You can either continue to suck forever, or you can take a chance on yourself. And what that means is buying my thing. And it's like, oh my God, like I'll never forget this fucking guy. Like I'm not gonna name any names, but this guy anyway, he marketed this cohort a couple of years ago, and every other sentence was like, this is the decision point of your life. Like it's now or never, like you will continue to crumble. And it's just like, he made so much money off that cohort, and good for him. But the amount that you're actually going to be able to deliver on that and actually quote unquote save people from themselves, like it's statistically impossible, but it's such aspirational marketing. Another thing that people do is they'll use their success story to make you jealous. So it's like, look at me in my penthouse, and I started from nothing and now I'm here and you could be too. There's just a lot of that stuff that I don't personally feel good about doing. And generally when you're marketing to someone who has those more failure indicators top of mind, that's the stuff that you might accidentally slip into. So I just wanted to caveat that.
Yeah, totally. I think I alluded to this earlier. Conventional marketing wisdom is like twist the knife, make it more painful. Mm-hmm. And then you get real doom and gloom on people. And then you get then all of a sudden you're like, well, this is the turning point. This is your choice. Do you want to be a failure forever, or do you want to be the man? Do you want to provide for your family? Anyway, I I'd like to come up with a different term than failure indicator, but I don't know exactly what that is yet. So just to be clear, it's like, this isn't about people being failures or the businesses you're trying to sell to are failures, but there is a failure that took place because they don't have any leads. There is a failure that took place that we are going to have to lay people off. Right? That's the mindset that this is. This isn't necessarily that they are in fact failures, but so I think that's an important distinction. Like, we're not trying to shame people. We're not trying to be rude to people or whatever. We're trying
to tell you not to be. We're trying to say there's a better way.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to market failure indicators just because that's what you see everywhere.
True. Very true. Now, I think that there is a place for all products of all sizes for buyers of all maturity. Like, I was never, like, when I first started, like, I didn't have any money to spend on stuff, but I wanted to invest. And so I was making lightweight investments. But like, in those situations, you respond to that type of marketing. And so I think it's just important to recognize what you're doing. And the goal of all of this, if nothing else, is to make you aware of how the words and how you frame stuff up, how that changes the types of buyers that come to you, the type of audience that you build, things like that. Because most people just get what they get from their marketing. And they're like, I'm not sure why I only get people who are on the brink. This was me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, everyone's about to lay somebody off around here. This is dire shit. These agencies are fucked. Like, I'm like, what is going on? But it was me. But it's easy to read the wrong signal, because I sure as hell did. For a while, I was like, it's all good. I just got to keep going. And it's not that I should have stopped, but there was such an overwhelming positive signal that, oh, I'm getting inbounds. Oh, I'm having all these sales calls. My close rate was lower than I'd like. I was like, well, maybe I'm just new. Maybe I'm a little rusty. Haven't sold stuff in a while. Got to relearn that skill. Haven't pitched this thing a couple, you tell yourself a story as to why certain things do or don't happen. And I didn't realize at the time that what was happening was that I accidentally or unintentionally attracted a bunch of people that had a very big problem that needed to be solved, but they didn't have the means to solve it, or at least to pay the rate that I was asking for at the time. And so understanding is your pricing match maturity, like that is also a huge indicator here.
Huge.
Right? We all want to charge premium rates. I don't know anybody who's like, I want to charge nothing. Everyone wants to charge premium rates, but if there's a massive mismatch between what you want to charge and the type of buyers you're pulling in, we're going to have problems.
They have to have money. If you want money, people need to have money to give you.
Yes.
Or they have to have a place to go get that money, like
also,
an R&D budget or something. And then you have to talk about that in your marketing.
Yeah, I think people really under or downplay how impactful these little shifts are.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just putting the floor for how little, like the minimum that we need you to be making in order to be the right client for us changed everything for us. Because we can't be taking more than X, like a percentage of your revenue. And so if you come in and you're only making a certain amount and we're like, well, this is our monthly price. And they're like, that's more than my entire fucking monthly revenue. It's not going to work,
Right. Well, we also decided when we partnered up, we were like, okay, well, we would want, like, each client would have to produce X amount of money in order for this math to math.
Yeah.
And then the question was, and I learned this from our good friend, Peter Giordano. Shout out to PG3.
What's up, Peter?
What's up, Peter? I hope you're listening. And I learned this one from him. He's like, dude, price is not you have to decide if you want, depending on whatever you want to price, you have to design the buyer. It's not like you fit the price to the buyer, you fit the buyer to the price.
Yep.
So I took that to heart and I was like, okay, well, we have to decide how much we want to charge for this service. And then we had to decide who had the means to pay for that. And then we had to decide, how are we going to attract these people? How are we going to become the solution for these people? And the original question was, what is the problem that solopreneurs earning $20K a month face? 40K a month, 60K a month, 100K. This is like, and you keep pushing.
They honestly all face the exact same problems, just at different times. It's been the most interesting thing to figure out.
They all face the same problem, but the indicators are all just a little different.
Just a tiny bit. Yep. Just a teeny tiny
And
bit.
that's the difference, though. That nuance is the difference between people opting in or opting out. To go, oh, this is for me. I feel so seen by this. I used to have people, even though I was attracting a buyer that couldn't pay for the thing that I had. I will say is that I had a lot of people go, there's only one way you would know this stuff, is it would be that you have a hidden camera in my office. Like, how did you know that? Like, it's so specific, and it's so like you've done your research on this segment or on this problem. Like, you get the problem very much.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so fulfilling to hear. Now, like the whole, however, I don't have any money to pay for it.
Now please go make more money and come back when you do, because I will still be here.
Please, yeah. Please call me when you're ready. Anyway, so it's an interesting lens on market the problem. And I think this is something that we've been circling for a bit. And I'm glad we have it now, because it's an easy diagnosis. I think the main thing here is that there's like a bunch of ways to diagnose, like, well, where are things going wrong? And I think the question to ask yourself is, if I'm having conversations with people who get the problem, but they're not quite right, I need to move up market, or I'm not charging as much as I want or as much as I should, things like that, generally we have a problem elevation issue. And we need to take it from things as simple as you're not hitting quota to you're hitting quota, but take it from you have no leads to you have some leads and you're closing deals, but they're not exactly who you want to be selling to. Whatever, I don't know, I'm making up examples at this point, but like that's the type of way that we would go.
Let's do our favorite line. Take it from you have no business and you can't make the money you want to your business is crushing it. Now let's stop it from crushing you.
Bingo. That's us. That's our shift, right? So when we marketed full stack, the framing was a lot of, you might not have a business in a few months, or you're not sure where your next deal is going to come from. And the problem and the framing of that problem, the elevation of it, matched the price tag. All of those things lined up. But this different variation of what is duo consulting, the elevation goes from that to you're crushing it, but let's prevent it from crushing you. Totally different.
I can love that line so much. We didn't even come up with that's a voice of customer. That's how we got referred by a customer to another customer. And now it's like, that is our marketing.
I say it every day. I think about it all the time.
I think about it all the time too.
So there's a lot there. And I think there's plenty more. There's an unlimited...
we're going to go so deep into this idea. This is like V1 of the idea. I'm sure we'll have a V3 very soon.
So let's start to land this plane. So the Biddy book is in progress. And then we wrote it most of it months ago. And hopefully it should be live in the next few weeks. And it's going to go into a stupid amount of detail into this whole thing. And we'll tell some stories. We're going to give a bunch of examples. And we're going to show you exactly how to do it in more ways than we've already talked about today.
Shout out to Katrina. Could not do these mini books without Katrina Kirsch. She is killing it for us.
It's absolutely insane.
She's so good at it.
She's so good.
So until next time, we'll see you then.
Until next time, we'll see you then.